Blog Talk Radio.
It's the music of Lionel Jones from the CD Papa Jones CD. You can find him and other artists we feature right here on our show page link, or just hit him up at www.cdbaby.com or www.facebook.com. Well, shalom, Israel, and good evening, good afternoon, good morning to you and yours, wherever you are on the World Wide Web. You are listening to Let's Talk, brought to you by the Men Empowered Organization on the Blog Talk Radio Network at blogtalkradio.com. My name is Brother Malachi. I am your host and founder of the Men Empowered Organization. It is a September the 19th, 2013. Tonight, the book of Jasher, the continuation, late night, chapter 48, right here on Blog Talk Radio. We will get into it momentarily. We will be in the book of Jasher, chapter 48. For those of you all who do not have the book of Jasher, you can pick it up in Genesis chapter 49. Like to remind you, we are here Monday through Thursday from 10 p.m. to about 11 p.m. Central Standard Time. Tomorrow we will have a special edition of the book of Jasher, chapter 49. We will make up for some time lost that we did have a while back when we had some technical difficulties with BTR. And how's everyone doing? We are going to have our weekly commentary that is featured on FM 92.1 WJMG. Our weekly commentary starts momentarily, right after this.
You don't understand, see, you don't get it.
People don't understand, man.
I'm a free man, and I don't mean just out of jail. I am
they just don't
free at
understand.
last.
Corey Jackson, man, more mad than ever. How many more, man? My words, my brother. We gotta get out of stop, man. We gotta get free.
I have
gotta put a stop to it. We gotta get free, man. We gotta get free. We can't keep doing this to us. This tale is ill. The autobiographic is real, so I share it from deep in my memory film. 11/40/35, inscribed on his khaki suit. I set it across from my brother, trapped in his cell room. Different families around, attempting to heal wounds. Conversation by the hour for dark souls to soothe. But this case is different. It's hella treacherous niggas. Cowards my brother trusted that became his false witness. Picture this, a small town, locale, a southern state, and that serves as the framework that outlines the case. A murder took place, victim of another race. She had status and spoke to governors face to face. More fuel for the flames of supremacy and hate that blacks will never escape without God's grace. On the court date, they brought him in shackled, he took the stand. Third black boy being charged for death by one hand. An argument in another state that wouldn't have a chance. But the Commonwealth of Kentucky is a southern land that still got problems with brothers from the motherland. They judge us not by character, but by skin. But in this case, it was one Negro hair. They said similar to his in the car when she disappeared. Funny, how many blacks got similar hair? We unlucky. Evidence they used when they argued at trial, but never tested DNA and put it on file. It's all foul and wow. 50 years they gave him. Throughout trial, never showed his involvement with the slaying. Just hearsay from inmates and the main suspect.
You don't understand. You don't get it. I'm a free man, and I don't mean just out of jail. I am free at last.
Gotta get free, man. Be more substantial evidence, man. Testimonies from local bums in a segregated city is the evidence they use to convince the jury committee. But really, that's only the second level of injustice. The first level was the lie detector test they shuffled. The main suspect failed too. But detectives lied to the judge to get a warrant through. For who? You guessed it, my brother's name in the loop. The table now set for Southern hospitality soup, and they be cooking black boys by ones and groups. straight out their youth, they stamp them by stretching the truth. But don't get it twisted, I hate anything that's corrupt. But when the government is guilty, tell me who can you trust? Now 14 of the 50 years my brother is done, and never had nothing to do with the death of the gun, but was violently prosecuted by a snake with a tongue. No wonder we burn with hatred like the rage of the sun.
Let me ensure that I am through walking on the wild side. That's all I've been trying to tell you. I have been sick with the social ills.
We welcome you to this week's edition of the Men Empowered Commentary right here on the Pine Belt's original Urban FM. It is Thursday, September the 19th, 2013. My name is Brother Malachi of the Men Empowered Organization. As always, we wish to thank Mr. Vernon C. Floyd and his staff for inviting us here to share with you absolute knowledge and truth. We can be reached at 601-297-2927 and online at menempoweredtoprosper@yahoo.com. And our web address is www.blogtalkradio.com/Men Empowered. When you are using a combination lock, in order for it to work properly, you have to put in a set of 3 numbers. First, you must turn to the first number 4 times to the left, the second number 3 times to the right, and the final number 2 times to the left. This sequence should allow you to open your lock or safe using these instructions. If you are out of order by 1, your lock will not work properly by the manufacturer instructions. Now take a look at your body. All parts of your body has a special function that it does to keep the body working good according to the Most High God, who is the manufacturer. As with any product you buy, it has a warranty attached to it that will guarantee good services, providing you properly use it according to the manufacturer. Taking a look at your human body again, there are 2 parts that you must upkeep properly, or your human body will not run right and may shut down altogether. Your liver and your kidneys. They may seem small inside you, but without them, just like an automobile, it will be in the shop for a very long time if not properly taken care of. I think you get the picture. Our manufacturer, the Most High God, has a owner's manual for us to go by. Without it, the use of it will result in a short and unhappy life expectancy. In Joshua chapter 1, verses 1 through 8, now after the death of Moses, the servant of the Most High God, it came to pass that the Most High God spoke unto Joshua, the son of Nun, Moses my minister, saying, verse 2, Moses my servant is dead. Now therefore arise, go over this Jordan, thou and all this people, unto the land which I do give to them, even to the children of Israel. Verse 3, every place that the sole of your foot shall tread upon, that have I given unto you, as I said unto Moses. Verse 4, from the wilderness and this Lebanon, even unto the great river, the river Euphrates, all the land of the Hittites, and unto the great sea, toward the going down of the sun, shall be your coast. Verse 5, there shall not any man be able to stand before thee all the days of thy life. As I was with Moses, so I will be with thee. I will not fail thee nor forsake thee. Verse 6, be strong and of good courage, for unto this people shalt thou divide for an inheritance the land which I swore unto their fathers to give them. Verse 7. Only be thou strong and very courageous, that thou mayest observe to do according to all the law, which Moses my servant commanded thee. Turn not from it to the right hand or to the left, that thou mayest prosper whatsoever thou goest. Verse 8. The book of the law shall not depart out of thy mouth, but thou shalt meditate therein day and night, that thou mayest observe to do according to all that is written within. For then thou shalt make thy way prosperous, and then thou shalt have good success. These were the instructions that was given to Joshua, who was the leader of a nation known as Israel. Israel is the name that the Most High had given Jacob. His seed, which is in his sons, bear that name as the children of Israel, also known as the 12 tribes of Israel. Some people will say that the children of Israel are no longer on the earth today, or that they are the present people in the land known as Israel. In order for you to know the truth, you will have to open up the owner's manual and read what the manufacturer says. Deuteronomy chapter 28 identifies what happened to the children of Israel. They had good success when they followed the manufacturer in Deuteronomy chapter 28, verses 1 through 14, but they failed away from the manufacturer's plan for a while, resulting in a defect in their lifestyle. Deuteronomy chapter 28, verses 15 through 68. You heard me say this and bring you the evidence every week. The African American descendants of slaves are the children of Israel. Their tribe is the tribe of Judah. Last week, we read from the book of Jasher. You may wonder, where in the world is the book of Jasher? This is one of the books that Joshua meditated on. You need this book in order for you to have full knowledge and full success. For a long time, your adversaries, as well as the followers of the adversaries, have kept you out of the Bible, as well as deleting books out of the Bible, which is your history book. Joshua chapter 10, verse 13. Let's read what Joshua knew. And the sun stood still, and the moon stayed, until the people had avenged themselves upon their enemies. Is not this written in the book of Jasher? So the sun stood still in the midst of heaven, and hastened not to go down about a whole day. It's been there all this time, but we did not know what it was that we were reading. Let's take another look of who else knew of the book of Jasher. 2 Samuel chapter 1, verse 18. Also, he bade them teach the children of Judah the use of the bow. Behold, it is written in the book of Jasher. In the movie Stargate, the character Dr. Daniel Jackson was brought on board to identify the seventh symbol on the cartouche that would open the Stargate. Without that seventh symbol, the Stargate remained closed. As you can see, what slavery has done to us as a people, it took away our knowledge, it took away our history, and it took away our power and put us into darkness. But praise be to the Most High God and His Son, Christ, the Anointed One, that brought us out of darkness and into the marvelous light. Christ knew who we are and what would happen to us in the future. After all, He came from not only the Father, but from the seed of Judah, the tribe of Judah. To see the full accounts of Judah and their power, you will understand when you read and study the book of Jasher. Just like when you read the book of Genesis, Genesis is 50 chapters and Jasher is 91 chapters. Don't you be destroyed for lack of knowledge. The views and opinions of this commentary is strictly of the Men Empowered organization and not the opinions of this radio station. My name is Brother Malachi, and this is our commentary. Shalom.
Read it. Verse 12. Amos chapter 8, verse 12. And they shall wander from sea to sea.
And they shall wander from sea to sea. That means you're going from this place to this place. Well, let me go over here. Oh, Islam, I don't like that. Well, let me go over to the Christian church. Oh, I don't know. Well, maybe let me go into Hinduism. Well, I don't know. I don't like this church because this preacher says this. I don't like this church because this preacher says that. Let me tell you, if you were in the Word, it wouldn't matter what the preacher would say. If you was in the Word, you'll be able to see over what he's teaching. But you're going from sea to sea, all over the place. Read.
Amos chapter 8, verse 12. And they shall wander from sea to sea, and from the north even to the east.
Go ahead.
They shall run to and fro to seek the word of the Most High, and shall not find it.
You're going to wish one day you was able to sit in your cushy house and cut on your computer and see the word of the Most High. You're going to long for that time. You're going to wish you had that opportunity. Soon reading the Bible is going to be against the law of the earth. Soon. They're moving everyone into a new age movement. And the only thing you can believe in is yourself. And you are being programmed. That's going to be the belief system. Yourself. That's the new age movement. How grim and dark the government of this earth is. That all of them are in league and are in bed with Satan. That's the truth. Not one of them are with the Most High. Why? Because this kingdom was given into the hand of Satan. Job 9 and 24 tells you the earth was given into the hand of the wicked. So in order for you to rule in this government, you must go to Satan to get your power. He tried to offer it to Christ. Christ denied it. But who took it? All the governments in this earth who will soon pay. They live lavishly in this earth off the bones, blood, sweat, and tears of the children of Israel. Yes, but now they have to pay. It's time. All these wars in the earth are culminating. They're leading to their own demise. And we're just a people with no weapons. This is our weapon. The only thing we have is this, Christ, in the name of the Most High, and we'll win.
And we are back. The music and words of the Gathering of Christ Church. Just want to quickly remind you that September the 22nd is fast approaching. To enter the Gathering of Christ Hebrew Academy send an email to their email account of gatheringas1, the number 1, at AOL.com. Like to remind you, I am an attendee, a graduate of the Hebrew Academy in 2011. I myself would not have this knowledge of the book of Jasher had I not attended the Hebrew Academy. So we're going to get ready to get into the book of Jasher, chapter 48. If you do not have the book of Jasher, you can go to the Gathering of Christ Church website at gatheringofchrist.org and look under resources. There you will find a copy of the book of Jasher. Like I said in our weekly editorial on our local FM radio station here in the greater Hattiesburg and Laurel, Mississippi area, Jasher is 91 chapters and Genesis is 50 chapters. To see the similarities of Jasher chapter 48, you can go to Genesis chapter 41. And we are getting ready and well able to go ahead with the book of Jasher. Jasher chapter 48, verse 1. In those days, after the death of Isaac, the Lord commanded and caused a famine upon the whole earth. At that time, in verse 2, at that time, Pharoah, king of Egypt, was sitting upon his throne in the land of Egypt, and lay in his bed and dreamed dreams. And Pharaoh saw in his dream that he was standing by the side of the river of Egypt. Verse 3, and whilst he was standing, he saw, and behold, 7 fat, fleshy, and well-favored kine came up out of the river. Verse 4, and 7 other kine, lean-fleshed and ill-favored, came up after them. And the 7 ill-favored ones swallow up the well-favored ones, and still their appearance was ill as it first. Verse 5, and he awoke and he slept again, and he dreamed a second time, and he saw, and behold, 7 ears of corn came up upon one stalk, rank and good, and 7 thin ears blasted with the east wind sprang up after them, and the thin ears swallowed up the full ones, and Pharaoh awoke out of his dream. Verse 6, and in the morning the king remembered his dream. The king remembered his dream, and his spirit was sadly troubled on account of his dream. And the king hastened and sent and called for all the magicians of Egypt and the wise men, and they came and stood before Pharaoh. Verse 7, and the king said unto them, I have dreamed dreams, and there is none to interpret them. And they said unto the king, relate thy dream to thy servants, and let us hear them. Verse 8, and the king related his dream to them, and they all answered and said with one voice to the king, may the king live forever, and this is the interpretation of thy dream. 9, the 7 good kine which thou didst see denote 7 daughters that will be born unto thee in the latter days, and the 7 kine which thou swallowed come up after them, and swallow them up, are for a sign that the daughters which will be born unto thee will all die in the lifetime of the king. 10. And that which thou didst see in the second dream of 7 full good ears of corn coming up upon one stalk, this is their interpretation, that thou wilt build unto thyself in the latter days 7 cities throughout the land of Egypt. And that which thou sawest of the 7 blasted ears of corn springing up after them and swallowing them up, whilst thou didst behold them with thy with thy eyes, for a sign that the cities which thou wilt build will all be destroyed in the latter days in the lifetime of the king. 11. And when they spoke these words, the king did not incline his ear to their words, neither did he fix his heart upon them. For the king knew in his wisdom that they did not give a proper interpretation of the dreams. And when they had finished speaking before the king answered them, saying, What is this thing that you have spoken unto me? Surely you have uttered falsehood and spoken lies. Therefore now give the proper interpretation of my dream, that you may not die. 12. And the king commanded after this, and he sent and called again for other wise men. And they came and stood before the king. And the king related his dreams to them. And they all answered him according to the first interpretation. And the king's anger was kindled, and he was very wroth. And the king said unto them, Surely you speak lies and utter falsehoods in what you have said. 13. And the king commanded that the proclamation should be issued throughout the land of Egypt, saying, It is resolved by the king and his great men that any wise man who knoweth and understandeth the interpretation of dreams and will not come this day before the king shall die. 14. Verse 14 of the book of Jasher, chapter 48. And the man that will declare unto the king the proper interpretation of his dreams, there shall he be given unto him all that he will require from the king. And all the wise men of the land of Egypt came before the king, together with all the magicians and sorcerers that were in Egypt, and in Goshen, and Rames, and in Tachpanehes, in Zor, and in all the places of the borders of Egypt, and they all stood before the king. Verse 15. And all the nobles and the princes and the attendants belonging to the king came together from all the cities of Egypt, and they all sat before the king. And the king related his dreams before the wise men. And the princes and all that sat before the king were astonished at the vision. 16. And all the wise men who were before the king were greatly divided in their interpretation of his dreams. Some of them interpret them to the king, saying, The 7 good kind are 7 kings, who from the king's issues will be raised over Egypt. 17. And the 7 bad kind are 7 princes, who will stand up against them in the latter days and destroy them. And the 7 and the 7 ears of corn are the 7 great princes belonging to Egypt, who will fall in the hands of the 7 less powerful princes of their enemies in the wars of our Lord the King. Verse 18. And some of them interpret to the king in the manner saying, The 7 good kind are the strong cities of Egypt, and the 7 bad kind are the 7 nations of the land of Canaan, who will come against the 7 cities of Egypt in the latter days and destroy them. 19. And that which thou sawest in the second dream of 7 good and bad ears of corn is a sign that the government of Egypt will again return to thy seed as at first. 20. And in his reign, the people of the cities of Egypt will return against the 7 cities of Canaan, who are stronger than they are, and will destroy them, and the government of Egypt will return to thy seed. 21. And some of them said unto the king, This is the interpretation of thy dreams. The 7 good kind are 7 queens, whom thou wilt take for wives in the latter days, and the 7 bad kind denote that those women will all die in the lifetime of the king. 22. And the 7 good and bad ears of corn, which thou didst see in the second dream, are 14 children, and it will be in the latter days that they will stand up and fight amongst themselves, and 7 of them will smite the 7 that are more powerful. 23. And some of them said these words unto the king, saying, The 7 good kind denote that 7 children will be born to thee, and they will slay 7 of the children in the latter days. And the 7 good ears of corn, which thou didst see in the second dream, are those princes against whom 7 other less powerful princes will fight and destroy them in the latter days, and avenge thy children's cause, and the government will again return to thy seed. And the king heard all the words of the wise men of Egypt, and their interpretations of his dreams, and none of them pleased the king. 25. And the king knew in his wisdom that they did not altogether speak correctly in all these words, for this was from the Lord to frustrate the words of the wise men of Egypt, in order that Joseph might go forth from the house of confinement, and in order that he should become great in Egypt. Verse 26. And the king saw that none amongst all the wise men and magicians of Egypt spoke correctly to him, and the king's wrath was kindled, and his anger burned within him. Verse 27. And the king commanded that all the wise men and magicians should go out from before him, and they all went out from before the king with shame and disgrace. 28. And the king commanded that a proclamation be sent throughout Egypt to slay all the magicians that were in Egypt, and not one of them should be suffered to live. Verse 29. And the captains of the guards belonging to the king rose up, and each man drew his sword, and they began to smite the magicians of Egypt and the wise men. 30. And after this, Miro, chief butler to the king, came and bowed down before the king and sat before him. Verse 31. And the butler said unto the king, May the king live forever, and his government be exalted in the land. Verse 32. Thou wast angry with thy servant in those days. Now 2 years have passed, and this placed me in the ward, and I was for some time in the ward, I and the chief of the bakers. Verse 33. And there was with us a Hebrew servant belonging to the captain of the guard. His name was Joseph, for his master had been angry with him and placed him in the house of confinement, and he attended us there. Verse 34. And in some time after, when we were in the war, we dreamed dreams in one night. I and the chief of the bakers, we dreamed, each man according to the interpretation of his dream. 35. And we came in the morning and told them to that servant, and he interpreted to us our dreams. To each man according to his dream did he correctly interpret. Verse 36. And it came to pass, as he interpreted to us, so was the event. There fell not to the ground any of his words. 37. And now therefore, my Lord and King, do not slay the people of Egypt for naught. Behold, that slave is still confined in the house by the captain of the guard, his master, in the house of confinement. 38. If it pleases the king, let him send for him, and that he may come before thee, and he will make known to thee the correct interpretation of the dream which thou didst dream. 39. And the king heard the words of the chief butler, and the king ordered that the wise men of Egypt should not be slain. I just want to take praises here, all praise to the Most High, that Joseph, because Joseph served the great and mighty king, the Most High, he was responsible for not allowing these false men being slain. Because Joseph, had not Joseph interpreted the king's dream, Joseph would have been slain, as well as all the others would have been slain because of the wrath of the king. He knew that there was no one to interpret. Now that is my little spin on it, what I am getting understanding from it. Verse 40. And the king ordered his servant to bring Joseph before him. And the king said unto him, Go to him and do not terrify him, lest he be confused, and will not know to speak properly. 41. And the servants of the king went to Joseph, and they brought him hastily out of the dungeon. And the king's servant shaved him, and he changed his prison garment, and he came before the king. 42. And the king was sitting upon his royal throne, in a pressly dressed girt, around with a golden ephod, and the fine gold which was upon it sparkled, and the carbuncle, and the ruby, and the emerald, together with all the precious stones that were upon the king's head, dazzled the eye. And Joseph wondered greatly at the king. Verse 43. And the throne upon which the king sat was covered with gold and silver, and with oxen stones, and it had 70 steps. 44. And it was their custom throughout the land of Egypt that every man who came to speak to the king, if he was a prince or one that was established in the sight of the king, he ascended to the king's throne as far as the 31st step. And the king would descend to the 36th step and speak with him. Verse 45 of the book of Jasher, chapter 48. If he was one of the common people, he ascended to the 3rd step, and the king would descend to the 4th and speak to him. And their custom was, moreover, that any man who understood to speak in all the 70, in all the 70 languages, he ascended the 70 steps and went up and spoke until he reached the king. Verse 46 of the book of Jasher, chapter 48. And any man who could not complete the 70, he ascended as many steps as the languages which he knew to speak. 47. And it was customary in those days in Egypt that no one should reign over them, but who understood to speak in the 70 languages. 48. And when Joseph came before the king, he bowed down to the ground before the king, and he ascended to the third step, and the king sat upon the fourth step and spoke with Joseph. 49. And the king said unto Joseph, I dreamed a dream, and there is no interpreter to interpret it properly. And I commanded this day that all the magicians of Egypt and the wise men thereof should come before me, and I related my dream to them, and no one has properly interpreted them to me. Verse 50. And after this I this day heard concerning thee, that thou art a wise man, and canst correctly interpret every dream that thou heardest. 51. And Joseph answered Pharaoh, saying, Let Pharaoh relate his dream that he dreamed. Surely the interpretation belongs to the Most High God. And Pharaoh related his dream to Joseph, the dream of the kine, and the dream of the ears of corn. And the king left off speaking. 52. And Joseph was then clothed with the Spirit of the Most High God before the king, and he knew all the things that would befall the king from that day forward, and he knew the proper interpretation of the king's dream, and he spoke before the king. Verse 53. And Joseph found favor in the sight of the king, and the king inclined his ear and his heart, and he heard all the words of Joseph. And Joseph said unto the king, Do not imagine that they are two dreams, for it is only one dream. For that which the Most High God has chosen to do throughout the land, he has shown to the king in his dream. And this is the proper interpretation of that dream. 54. And the 7 good kine and ears of the corn are 7 years, and the 7 bad kine of ears of corn are also 7 years. It is one dream. 55. Behold, the 7 years that are coming, there will be a great plenty throughout the land, and after that, the 7 years of famine will follow them, a very grievous famine, and all the plenty will be forgotten from the land, and the famine will consume the inhabitants of the land. 56. The king dreamed one dream, and the dream was therefore repeated upon Pharaoh, because the thing is established by the Most High God, and the Most High God will shortly bring it to pass. 57. Now, therefore, I will give thee counsel and deliver thy soul and thy soul of the inhabitants of the land from the evil of the famine, that thou seek throughout the kingdom for a man very discreet and wise, who knoweth all the affairs of government, and appointed him to superintend over the land of Egypt. Verse 58. And let the man whom thou placest over Egypt appoint officers under him, and they gather in all the food of the good years that are coming, and let them lay up corn and deposit it in thy appointed stores. 59. And let them keep that food for the 7 years of famine, that it may be found for thee and thy people and thy whole land, and that thou and thy land will not cut off by the famine. Verse 60. Let all the inhabitants of the land be also ordered that they gather in every man the produce of his field of all sorts of food during the 7 good years, and that they place it in their stores, that it may be found for them in the days of famine, that they may live upon it. 61. This is the proper interpretation of thy dream, and that is the counsel given to save thy soul and the souls of all thy subjects. 62. And the king answered and said unto Joseph, who said and who knoweth that thy words are correct? And he said unto the king, this shall be a sign for thee respecting all my words, that they are true, and that my advice is good for thee. 63. Behold, thy wife sitteth this day upon the stool of delivery, and she will bear thee a son, and thou wilt rejoice with him. When thy child shall have gone forth from his mother's womb, thy firstborn son that has been born these 2 years back shall die, and thou wilt be confronted in the child that will be born unto thee this day. 64. And Joseph finished speaking these words to the king, and he bowed down to the king, and he went out. And when Joseph had gone out from the king's presence, those signs which Joseph had spoken unto the king came to pass on that day. I say again, which Joseph had spoken unto the king came to pass on that day. All praises to the Most High God that we serve. Verse 65. And the queen bare a son on that day, and the king heard the glad tidings about his son, and he rejoiced. And when the reporter had gone forth from the king's presence, the king's servant found the firstborn son of the king fallen dead upon the ground. 66. And there was a great lamentation and noise in the king's house, and the king heard it. And he said, what is the noise and lamentation that I have heard in the house? And they told the king that the firstborn son had died. Then the king knew that all Joseph's words that he had spoken were correct, and the king was consoled for his son by the child that was born to him on that day, as Joseph has spoken. All praises to the Most High God. Thanks be to Yeshua Christ, the Son. Well, this is the end of the book of Jasher, chapter 48. Tomorrow night, we will have a special edition, late night, the book of Jasher, to make up of last week. So we hope you have enjoyed tonight's lesson of the book of Jasher. So until next time, join in for another edition of Let's Talk, brought to you by the Men Empowered Organization. And don't forget, September the 22nd, GOCC, the Gathering of Christ Church, bringing forth the Hebrew Academy. For more information on the Hebrew Academy, go to www.blogtalkradio.com/GOCCHURCH, as well as www.gatheringofchrist.org. If you already have made up your mind to enter the Hebrew Academy, send an email to gatheringas1@AOL.com. We bid you farewell, and here is Joel McCrae. I read.
some help. Open your mind and free yourself. Truth and knowledge overpowers wealth. Put education on the shelf and take a second look and see which route you took. Fall in love with a bunch of crooks and forget you're the children of that book. To the enemies they told you, made you believe anything they told you, and left you with two decisions: either choose death or choose religion. But you fell off Jacob's ladder and chose to listen to the master. Got caught in the devil's rapture. Now your life is a whole disaster.
Yeah, I said I know who you are. I know who you are, and I know where you're going. We stiff-necked, we wild, we on the corner, wildin' out. We ignorant, we proud, rebellious, our style.
We're the only ones can't see it. Got the truth but don't believe it. Cursed with being disobedient. The days enslaved in Egypt. Then Moses said, let my people go. Still we act like we ain't know who was our father. We didn't even bother to listen. And not to mention we blatantly worship others. We went from one to another. We threw stones at our brother. When they was trying to just bring us back to the truth, there's nothing wrong with that. Like Stephanos in the book of Acts. All he did was take it back.
Yeah, I said I know who you are. I know who you are, and I know where you're going. We stiff-necked, we wild, we on the corner, wildin' out. We ignorant, we proud, rebellious, our style.
I know the keepers of the law were standing tall, staying righteous above them all. It's the call, coach. The other teams fit with many men that's lost hope, cause they don't know the identity, but I do, so they envy me. Cause you're a nation of people that's so rebellious, accusers of your brother. When he speaks the truth, you get jealous. But I stay one accord with all my righteous fellas, cause we know who we are. There's nothing else that you can tell us.
Yeah, I said I know who you are. I know who you are, and I know where you're going. Yeah, I said I know who you are. I know who you are, and I know where you're going. We wild, we on the corner, wildin' out. We ignorant, we proud, rebellious, our style. To be like them, we try. Our own culture, we deny. So unaware, we blind. We searching for a sign. I know who you are. 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 Who you are. I know who you are.